Greetings, everybody. Right back at you here at Railroad Nail Boxing Talk. And like we say here at Railroad Nail Boxing Talk, we don't just praise fighters with pretty records. We praise all fighters who get in the ring and fight hard. You could be 21-0, 37-9, or 16-10. If you out there knocking sweat off somebody's head, making the crowd want to come see you again, then your light will shine here at Railroad Nail Boxing Talk. What's up, boxing fans? Carlos Adames versus Jroc Williams. Let's talk about it. First of all, boxing fans, I want to say the nail been out of commission. I had a real bad stomach virus that had me down for about 2 weeks, and I ain't fully recovered, but you know I gotta come talk boxing. Now, let's get into it. Should this fight have been stopped? Should the referee have stepped in and stopped the fight when he did? Well, I feel like the referee should have let it went on because Jroc still was shelled up. He still had a little balance. He was moving back, and I feel like Carlos Adames would have eventually stopped it. I feel like Carlos Adames was robbed of his advantage to go ahead and finish the fight like he should have. But we got to remember now, when Carlos Adames fought Teixeira, he was aggressive like he was on Jroc, and he was hit with a punch and dropped. Was Jroc waiting on that perfect moment to open him up and drop him? Seemed like to me, if a fighter of Jroc's caliber, an ex-champion that done been dropped, that done came back and got the championship, still had his guards up, if he was still shelled up, if he was sliding some of the punches, I feel like he had something in store. I feel like he was trying to catch Adames. Would he have caught him? I don't know. But I feel like he should have been granted the chance to catch it. I feel like it's important that the referee know the fighters, the history of the fighters, and what type of fighters they have in the ring. I feel like the fans was robbed. But I can't blame the referee a whole lot because Jroc did take a lot of punches. He was moving back, and it did look like the fight was finna be over. So it's a catch-22. Ain't nobody right, ain't nobody wrong. But I want to ask this question. Whatever happened to the standing 8 count in boxing? Is it thrown out? Is it illegal now? Or whatever happened to the standing 8 count? Because maybe I missed it or something. You know, when a fighter look like he dazed and he's still on his feet, it's counted as a knockdown, but the referee steps in, he give him an 8 count, and if he don't look good throughout that 8 count, the fight is stopped. If he do look good and give the referee the nod throughout that 8 count, the fight can continue, especially when this fighter is an ex-champion. And that's the way I feel like it should have went. This was a good fight. Julian Williams came out and he had a good jab. He had a lot of confidence. He was backing Adames up for a minute, but Adames was just studying and picking his spot. He would soon start to bag Williams up. He would soon start to hit him with power punches, and we know Jroc's chin is questionable. And once he started landing them hooks and them jabs on Jroc was steady. He was starting to pose. He was starting to keep his feet still too long. He was starting not to use his angles, and eventually he ended up backing up, ducking a lot of punches. Some of them was landing, some of them wasn't. But one thing about Jroc is he's missing his meanness. He's missing that punch to make his opponent back up. And he didn't have that. Because I didn't see Jroc Williams get hit with nothing that was fight stopping. Not when the fight was stopped. He did minutes before the fight was stopped or a round or two before that, but I just didn't see it. I mean, the standing 8 count should have been used. This is a man who's an ex-champion that's on his way back up, that know how to fight, and he was still shelled up. He was still moving away from punching, you know, but he hadn't thrown a punch in a while. So to the ref's credit, I ain't gonna call it a real bad decision. I can't call it a bad decision, but I can say that as a professional referee in a fight like this, you have to know your fighters and you have to be in there looking at this fighter. I mean, I would like to know what prompted the referee to stop the fight. Because I think he was on his way out. But we all know that anybody who's been watching boxing for a long time know that some fighters come back. Now, when Carlos Adames fought Patrick Teixeira, I think the fight that he lost, that's what happened. He was backing Teixeira up. Teixeira hit him with a punch and dropped him. And I think that's what Julian Williams was banking on, to get him comfortable, to open him up, to get him throwing punches and pop him with something. I think that was his chance he felt like that was his only chance to drop Adames. But the ref took that chance away from him. And I think that's why him and his corner was very disappointed. Because if you look at the fight closely, and I did look at it again, A lot of those punches were not landing. Some of them was on the shoulder, and due to the fact that Jroc was moving back, it looked worse than it was, and it really did. I think he was waiting on a punch to change the fight. I think he was. But I'm not going to call it a bad stoppage, but I still feel like the ref should have used a standing 8 count because, they took the action away from the fans. The fans want to see a stoppage, and he took it away from Adamas. I mean, of course, Adamas going to take the win, and he got the win, and he did dominate the fight. But it's still questions out there. What if? He want to leave his opponent with no questions that, hey, you stopped me. Now his opponent can say, well, that was a stoppage that wasn't fair, But kudos to Adamas, and kudos to Williams. He fought a better fight than I thought he would. I thought the fight was going to end sooner than it did. I really did. I didn't think Jroc was going to last that long. He came out. He had a good game plan. And he surprised Adamas with some punches. Adamas had something to think about before he came in there for about the first 4 rounds. But it is what it is. And that's how we see it here at Railroad Nail Boxing Talk. I don't like to keep it too long because you don't know me that well, but you will. And like we say here at Railroad Nail Boxing Talk, we don't just praise fighters with pretty records. We praise all fighters who get in the ring and fight hard. You could be 15-0, 16-9, or 37-10. If you out there knocking sweat off somebody's head, making the crowd want to come see you again, then your light will shine here at Railroad Nail Boxing Talk.